So Luke and I have many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander mates around the country and around the world. And we think it's really important that when you go to somebody's house, you say, thanks for having us. So Luke and I would like to say thank you to the Wurundjeri, Woiwurrung and Bunurong peoples of the southeastern Kulin Nation, the land on which this podcast is recorded on. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present, and we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here listening, past and present.
Always was, always will be
Aboriginal land. Listen, there's something that we need to discuss today that has affected me greatly and a lot, and also a hell of a lot of people. And this is going to be a special bonus episode that Luke and I have chosen to do because it's something that impacts a sport and a community that I defiantly love and respect and appreciate, and I'm very unapologetic for when it comes to homophobia. If you missed it, another AFL football player has used a homophobic slur during a match, not once, not twice, but 3 times in the one match against a player. And it was Isaac Rankin from the Adelaide Crows who used the gay slur against a Collingwood player who's the team that Luke and I follow passionately. I'm going to be reading a bit of this. It's a bit unusual. There'll be a bit of free flow, but I'm going to be reading because I want to make sure that my research, my stats, my facts, the quotes, and everything land the way I intend them to, because it's very important, because there is a very long history of homophobia in this sport that I want to make sure that I articulate it the way I intend it to be received. So thank you so much for tuning in for this. It's very important. I'm assuming already I can feel it. There's emotions that are going to come up, and I really respect and value the support that already my community is getting. Luke, we're going to use you.
I'm also here.
You're going to be the stats and the facts man. So go for it.
So you've heard your Scott then say that Isaac Rankin has done a homophobic slur, but this isn't the first time. This is one of many over the last 18 months. So if you're new to this, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson in the last 18 months. We've had Alastair Clarkson in March 2024, penalty, $20,000 fine and a 2-match suspension. Jeremy Finlayson, April 2024, penalty, 3 matches. Will Powell, May 2024, penalty, 5 matches. Lance Collard, mid-season 2024, penalty, 6 matches. Now, 2025, new year, new change.
Hopefully we have set a standard.
Well, let's see, Scott. Riak Andrew, May 2025, penalty, 5 weeks. Jack Graham, June 2025, penalty, 4 matches. And the most recent one, Isaac Rankin, in August 2025, very recent to now, penalty, 4 matches, and this was reduced from 5 after compelling medical submissions.
7 offences, 7 different people, 7 different penalties and punishments, all in 18 months. Now, if that's not blatant inconsistency, then what is? For me, zero tolerance doesn't mean spin the fucking wheel and see what number comes up. It means the line is the line, and anything less is an embarrassment to the CEO's job description. And let me say this really, really clearly. These are my views, my lived experience, my story, and my feelings. And I know I'm speaking for a hell of a lot of people who are too scared to. And I love this friggin' game. I love Collingwood. I'm a mad-ass fucking Collingwood supporter, and my blood is black and white. Footy is in my blood like it is in so many other Australians.
And like you said, it's Australians, right? We've got a big international audience. So AFL, what is the AFL, Scott?
This is the Australian Football League.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking out because I love the game and it needs to do better. I'm sick and fucking tired of hearing excuses from the AFL. I'm tired of leadership shying away from the problem, which is exactly what they're doing right now. And when you dodge your own LGBTQI+ inclusion action plan, You're not only gaslighting an entire community, you're telling queer kids, you're telling your staff, and even some of your players that their lived experiences don't matter. Here's some facts. LGBTQIA plus people are 5 times more likely to take their own lives. 80% of queer people in Australia have been verbally abused. In sport, homophobic language is still one of the most common forms of abuse. Now, most players have heard it, and many have admitted to saying it. Now, that's from the La Trobe University, writing themselves in 4.
So what Scott is saying pretty much right now, it's not just opinion. This is the largest national study ever done on LGBTQI plus community. And it's the biggest study, so it's fact.
So when Andrew Dillon was asked if the AFL has a homophobia problem, he said, look.
He said, no, I don't think we do, but I think language of the type that has been used is not acceptable in any forum, let alone the footy field.
So based on the inconsistencies and what I hear is we don't fucking care enough to fix it. And that makes him complicit because culture comes from the top down. Everyone and anyone in any organisation, large or small, understands the culture comes from the top down. And who's at the top? It's you, Andrew Dillon. Let's be clear. No other major sporting code in the world has gone this far into history without a single openly gay male player. Not one anywhere in the world. And that's not because there are none. It's because it's not safe. And leadership, you own that. We've learned this in other parts of society. White people can't and shouldn't be the ones making the decisions for black communities and culture. Those voices must come from within. We've also seen how wrong it is when men try to make decisions about women's rights and their bodies. True respect means listening, not speaking for. And in the same way, straight people should not be the ones deciding whether homophobia exists or not. Our community knows it does, and we say it does. We believe it. Our community says it exists. We know it exists, and that should be enough. Now, to the every fucking day fan, the ones yelling slurs, writing in capitals in the comment sections, and sharing memes and getting involved in the banter, shut the fuck up for once. Let me be clear, because I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this for your best mate's kid, your daughter's best friend, and your cousin who may be too scared to come out of the closet. I may be doing this for somebody in your immediate family. Be very careful who you are damaging. Words are harmful. They land like knives and they stick around for years. Because when I have a problem, you fucking know me by now, I come for you, your values, your inability to lead. What I don't do is I don't come and use a homophobic slur or a racial one, because that's not debate, that's hate. And when AFL players use gay slurs, what they're really saying is, gay men are beneath them. Some may wish. That being gay is weak and it's shameful and means that you're lesser than. That's the culture keeping players in the closet. That's the culture telling kids in the stands that being gay is actually an insult. And leadership's silence on that deeper meaning is what makes you continually complicit. And the excuses are worse. Commentators and coaches saying, it's just white line fever or the heat of the moment. Do you understand what you're actually admitting? That under pressure, the worst thing that a player can say or do when they are at their hardest moment in their day and in their career and life, that the worst thing that they can think of is a gay slur. That's not instinct. That's culture.
And we've been hearing it now as well. There is a huge change and tone in prominent people in the media.
Yes.
Right? And there are a lot of people coming out now and speaking up for the first time and saying how it is wrong. However, you still realise there's a long way to go because you've also got prominent people saying things like Lee Matthews recently saying maybe bans are too harsh. So if you're still going
bans on homophobia are too harsh.
Correct. So you hear things like that and you're like, oh, maybe there is a long way still to go. Prominent people in the media, in the AFL circles, still thinking bans are too harsh for homophobic slurs. There's a long way to go.
So what makes sense? Education. And let's talk about the AFL's so-called education. Let me tell you what it is. And this blew my mind when I found it out. It's a tick and flick module at the start of the year, which every single AFL player has to complete to be an accredited football player for the year to be able to play. It's a 10-minute module online that's shoved in with things like betting, gambling, and vilification, etc. You can skip it, you can mute it, you can go and cook, you can play a game whilst it's playing in the background. And the multiple choice answers are so ambiguous. And it's more of a don't get caught saying these words because you'll get in trouble, more than it is educating them on what these words mean and how much they actually affect an entire community. That module is an education. It's a fucking joke. And here's the hypocrisy. You took Rankin's mental health into account for his ban. Fine. But where is the same care for the thousands of queer people whose mental health is destroyed by the language that you're allowing every single week? Andrew Dillon and the AFL, do you care about mental health or not? And stop clouding this by comparing it with other incidents. This is going to the fans. Homophobia is its own issue. If you have other issues with other inconsistencies with the AFL, take that up with them. Don't compare it to this one. Now, Andrew Dillon, don't say this is about the fans, because if it was, you would not have ripped Saturday night free-to-air rights away from them and sold it out if you really did care about what the fans thought. So don't pretend that this is a hard decision, because it's not. And let me be clear, I have a lot of mates in the AFL. They're players, they're managers, they're leaders, and some are from clubs and some are from your organisation. And a lot of them have shared with me that they're too scared to speak up. And that's why I'm speaking today.
And within the AFL, they have their own Pride and Allies chair, which is Leanna Brown. And she has said in the Inclusion Action Plan, it is the AFL's responsibility as custodians of the game to do everything it can to ensure all participants are safe.
I've read this action plan. I've reviewed it. I've spoken to people within the organisation. I've spoken to people who are guided by it, and nobody can really tell me what the plans are. So then, let's talk about organisations that have actual plans, code of conducts, and that are led by them and led by good leaders. Your sponsors at the AFL. Let's talk about Coles. Let's talk about NAB, Telstra, Virgin Australia, Toyota, McDonald's, Bunnings, and Carlton Draft. These are just some of Australia's biggest brands and the AFL's greatest sponsors. Coles policy says discrimination based on sexuality is not tolerated. Telstra's code of conduct says breaches like homophobia can lead straight to a termination. Virgin Australia, under CEO David Emerson, says violations can result in termination of employment. And NAB enforces a human rights policy that demands an inclusive workplace. So let's be clear. In every other major workplace, if you're on notice and you repeat the behaviour, you're terminated. So why is the AFL the only fucking organisation in Australia right now where zero tolerance actually doesn't mean that at all? So I have to ask, where are you? The sponsors, what are you thinking right now? Do you think enough's being done about homophobia with the AFL? Do you want your money tied to a sport where they do allow homophobia and that they don't stick to their own code of conduct and that they allow homophobia to exist in the workplace, where your own policies would say it would end with a termination? I want to hear what you think about that as a major sponsor, because if anybody spoke like that in your organisation, that'd be terminated. You're giving the AFL a lot of money. So really, are you overlooking your own code of conduct for the AFL? And then we get to the AFL booking Snoop Dogg. What a fucking disappointment. A man who openly mocked same-sex parents recently.
So,
Luke, what
Scott,
do you say?
what you're alluding to, Snoop Dogg recently went and saw the movie Lightyear. He went with his grandson. In the movie Lightyear, there is same-sex marriage between these a lesbian couple who have a child.
Two mums!
And after the movie, the grandson has asked Snoop Dogg, what's the go with a lesbian couple having a baby? Didn't understand how that could happen. Where Snoop Dogg has said on a podcast, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. So that's like, fuck me. I'm scared to even go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of this shit, I don't have an answer for.
Public service announcement to you, Snoopy, and anybody else who hasn't seen the film yet. It's not a spoiler alert because it only went for about a quarter of a second. It's where two mums give each other a little kiss. Now, let me try and make this clear to you and a bit easier for you. Some boys like boys. Some girls like girls. Some like both. Now, that should be a little bit easier for you to explain than a toy that can talk that's going into the galaxy to save the world. But to me, maybe, just maybe, our dad's right when he says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Stupid is as stupid does. Now listen, how can the AFL claim inclusivity while reportedly now paying him $2 million? If it hasn't happened by now, it should. This arrangement with Snoop Dogg needs to be torn the fuck up and swapped for another artist. His position on drugs, popping caps, using the N and the F word surely doesn't meet the AFL's family-friendly, inclusive plan and goals. We have incredible fucking Australian music icons. I want to know why they've been overlooked. Imagine this. Fisher would be epic. Imagine him up there with Jimmy Barnes and the Veronicas smashing out a clusterfuck of like absolute bangers.
Well, everyone recently just got around the Triple J Hottest 100 of all time
Yes!
Australian songs. Like,
There's a big list!
if there's ever a time to get around that list,
Fire Snoop Dogg now. This isn't just footy, right? This is about culture. And Andrew Dillon, you have the power to lead that change today. And Andrew, I know you don't like bringing your kids into this. And what a fucking privilege that must be for you. Because every single time homophobia is brought up in the AFL or in families, my family's dragged into this. Every single time a gay slur is thrown out on the field, my family gets brought up into this. Every time players make a mockery of people like me, and now you've booked Snoop Dogg, who just mocked same-sex parents like me, that's an embarrassment. And that's my family that you've brought into this. So I don't want to hear that this is complicated. This is personal. What do your daughters and what does your partner think of it? So what do I want? Step up and lead. Zero tolerance means exactly that. Let me be even clearer. Zero tolerance means termination of contract, like it does everywhere and anywhere else in any other Australian organisation. The next player who uses a homophobic slur, their contract is terminated. Full stop. That's leadership. That's what every other workplace in Australia does.
And you're not the only one as well speaking up right now when it comes to homophobia in the AFL. There's a lot of prominent people, and we all know change comes from within, change comes from people speaking up. So we do want to just do a little thank you to the people.
Not a little one, a fucking huge one, because it seems like the tide is somewhat turning.
But we also know as soon as you speak about anything in the public eye, it's very, how do I put it? Your audience isn't always going to be on your side. There's people stuck in their ways. There's people that don't like change, and we've experienced it before. You speak out about anything and our DMs can be full of people saying we're doing the wrong thing. Shut up. You know nothing about what you're talking about. Who do you think you are to speak out about this? And it's like, who gives you the right to come and attack us for speaking out? It's the same thing where we have a lot to do with the AFL. We always have. We've been supporters since we were born.
And I'm a fucking gay man and a gay dad. I'm allowed to fucking say this. And I mean what I say, and I say what I fucking mean.
So a massive thank you to people in the media who are speaking out. Brennan Favola, Georgie Tunney, Dan's Footy, Kate Forster, Marnie Vinyl, Caroline Wilson, Kate McCarthy, Gerard Waitley, Rebecca Shaw, the Herald Sun, the Australian, Allies Matter, every single one.
If someone called a colleague a gay slur in the AFL's boardroom, would you just send them home for a week or two to just think it off or run away and have a holiday for 2 weeks?
Or 3 weeks, or 5 weeks, or 4 weeks, or a $20,000 fine.
Or would they be terminated? That's the standard you need to set on the field too. As of today, Andrew Dillon. Zero tolerance is termination. Nothing less.